Alrighty, folks, here we are back inside the world's worst movie theater, and now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. The top 5 worst movies I have ever seen begins tonight. And what better way to start off with this than, in my life, I have only ever walked out of 3 movies in a movie theater. Of all the films I've seen, 3 films in particular were so bad, so terrible, that I had no choice but to leave before the movie was over. And we have one of those movies right here, number 5 on my list of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, one of only 3 films I've ever walked out of, and that is Aliens in the Attic. You remember this one? Good. You're doing yourself a huge service by not knowing what the hell this movie is. But for those of you who unfortunately went to go see this movie, my condolences to you. But this film is about the Pearsons, a family whose busy lifestyle leads the dad, played by Kevin Nealon, to say that a family vacation is needed. So the dad, the younger sister Hannah, teenage son Tom, and older sister Bethany, played by Ashley Tisdale, along with her boyfriend Ricky, all go to the vacation home. Shortly after the Pearsons arrive at the sprawling summer home, however, things start to get strange as dark clouds start to swirl overhead. 4 glowing objects blast through the skies on a collision course with the Pearsons' roof, and soon the alien invasion and the bullshittery begins. What follows next is an annoying alien named Sparks, played by Josh Peck, and a Mortal Kombat fight with a mind-controlled Doris Roberts. That's right, Ray Barone's mother from Everybody Loves Raymond, who does some of the worst stunt work I have ever seen in my entire life. At that point, that was when I said enough was enough. I couldn't take it anymore, and I walked out. I just couldn't take it anymore. And in the end, it's just a ripoff of the much better The Spiderwick Chronicles. It's amazing how bad this is. This isn't a movie that should be made at 20th Century Fox. This is a film that you should see at the $5 bin at Walmart. Like, if this movie was made today in 2025, you would see this in the $5 bin at Walmart, and then a few months later at your dollar section over in the movie, at your dollar DVD section in the Dollar General. That's how bad this movie is. Like, Fox, who was having a rough stretch back then, but hey, that's what happens when you have Tom Rothman as the head of the company at the time. Remember, this is the same guy that said, you know what America really wants to see? An American Idol movie featuring 2 singers who have never acted before in a movie, but because American Idol was so goddamn popular, let's go ahead and cash in on it quickly and make a movie off of it 1 year after the show premiered, which nobody went to go see. And then they said, you know what people want to see? Narnia. Let's take whatever book is out there and just make a movie off of it. We don't even have to make it a good movie, just make it, because that Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Narnia money will soon be coming to us. And this is also the same man who hates the X-Men, but loves Wolverine so much to give him a terrible spin-off movie in this very same summer. And the summer before this had the balls to come out and tell all the internet critics to go F themselves because they never gave him the reviews for the movies that he wanted them to. And so there was all these movies that came out in the summer of 2008 where they didn't even bother showing it to the critics, the internet critics, like specifically the ones in Austin, Texas. If you ever listened to the Couple of Cold Ones podcast from around that time, they go into that in great detail. But Austin film critics back in the summer of 2008 couldn't see any 20th Century Fox movies during the summer season because they didn't want the bad word of mouth to get out there. And yeah, when your summer includes What Happens in Vegas, Meet Dave, Space Chimps, and Mirrors, and The Happening, yeah, you can see why they didn't want Austin film critics to see these movies, because they were going to rightfully thrash them, because most of those movies were terrible, most of them. I'm still doing time about the movies in 2008 at this time, so we'll be getting to those movies over on that show eventually. But back to this movie here, like, I cannot believe that somebody at Fox greenlit this and said, "This is what we need to see. This was what we really need to see with this movie. This is what we really want to put out in theaters, and it'll be a big hit." And spoiler alert, it wasn't. It was a massive flop. It got completely overshadowed by G-Force, which It's a slightly better movie, but again, not that much. I mean, this is a film that is absolutely terrible, and I remember walking out of it being so mad of it. I went to get my money back from the movie theater, and I got it back, so it wasn't a complete waste of my time, per se. This is an insultingly bad movie. It's a film that is the worst kind of a kid's movie. It's a film that panders to kids on the worst possible level, and it's one of the few movies that I've legitimately walked out of. And that tells you a lot, because I've seen so many movies in my lifetime, and for this to be one of the only 3 films I've ever walked out of in my life, that says a lot. And it made me mad that I was being forced into watching this junk. And, I'm glad I never saw the end of it, because, I probably would have been putting this up there even more if I had the balls to sit through the rest of this movie. But yeah, Aliens in the Attic, absolutely a horrible, horrible movie. So what are the other 2 movies that I've walked out of before? We're going to get to those ones a little bit later on in this list here, but we're in the top 5 now. We're only 4 away from finishing this list off, including getting to the worst movie I have ever seen in my entire life. But if you want to hear what I had to say about the aforementioned from Justin to Kelly last week, go ahead and check out the video in the corner, check out the playlist of all the other movies I've covered on this, and I'll see you guys next week. So until then, take care.